Energy of activation theory, collision theory. An important feature of the most of the reactions, whether endothermic or exothermic, is that the reactants require some extra energy of the reaction to take place. To understand the reasons for this, let us recall that according to collision theory of reactions, the primary condition for a reaction to take place is that the reacting particles must come in contact or collide with each other. But all such collisions do not result in the formation of products. In order to be effective in bringing the reaction, a collision should fulfill into two conditions. The colliding particles must have a certain minimum amount of energy known as threshold energy. The colliding particles must be properly orientated with respect to each other at a time of collision. As far as the energy factor is concerned, most of the reactant molecules do not possess sufficient energy in their ground state for effective collisions to take place. As a result, when such molecules collide with each other, no bond breaking or making takes place and the colliding particles bounce back as such. Therefore, extra energy is needed by the reactants to form the products. The minimum amount of additional energy required by the reactants to undergo effective collisions is known as activation energy, EA. It is numerically equal to the difference between threshold energy and the ground state energy of the reactants. That is, E activation is equal to E threshold minus E ground state. Most of the organic reactions have activation energy in the range of 40 to 150 kilojoule mole inverse. If the activation energy has a low value, the reaction can take place even at room temperature. On the other hand, reactions with high activation energy take place only on heating. Energy barrier to the reaction. The concept of activation energy means that the reactants have to be activated or raised to a higher energy level before they form the products. In other words, there exists a certain energy barrier between the reactants and the products in the depicting the process of a reaction. This barrier is generally represented as the energy hump, which has to be surmounted before the reaction can be completed. It may be compared to a pass on the top of a hill separating two valleys on the two sides of the hill. To move from one valley to the other, one must move up and hill and across the pass. Similarly, the reactants must move up the energy level and cross the energy barrier or hump to yield the products. Gibbs free energy change. Gibbs free energy change del G is a very useful parameter for determining the feasibility and direction of occurrence of a reaction. It is related to the change of enthalpy and change in entropy. Del G is equals to del H minus T del S. When all the substances are in their standard gaseous state, the relationship may be written as del G naught is equal to del H naught minus T del S naught. The enthalpy term del S naught is directly related to the bond strengths in which the starting substances and the products. The entropy term is a measure of the change in the amount of molecular randomness or disorder caused by the reaction. A reaction takes place in the forward direction only if it has a negative value of del G. Free energy of the products is lesser than that of the reactants. On the other hand, a positive value of del G means that the reaction has a tendency to take place in the backward direction. In case of equilibrium reactions, the equilibrium constant K is related to del G, which means minus 2.303 degree RT log of K. Transition state theory, energy diagram of a reaction. The transition state theory has been very useful in understanding the mechanism of organic reactions and the energy changes taking place during the reaction. According to this theory, the reactants do not change directly to the products, but what happens is that when the reactant molecule come in contact with each other, it leads to the formation of a highly unstable arrangement of atoms whose energy corresponds to the energy barrier separating the reactants and the products. The high energy species thus formed is known as activated state or transition state. For example, in a single step reaction represented by equation, the high energy transition state may be represented as A, B, C. Dotted lines indicate partial bonds. The transition state merely represents a probable arrangement of atoms corresponding to the energy barrier in which a bond is partially broken and a new bond has begun to form but is not yet completely formed. It does not represent a substance which can be isolated or even detected. As soon as this transition state is formed, it split into the products that the complete reaction sequence may be. The free energy difference between the reactants and transition state is known as free energy of activation, denoted at del G hashtag. It determines the rate at which reactants reach the transition state, which in turn determines the rate of reaction. A small value of del G means that there is only small difference in energy between the reactants and transition state, and therefore the reaction will take place rapidly. Conversely, a large value of del G means that the reaction would be take place slowly. The transition state is in equilibrium, which reactants and its concentration is determined by the equilibrium constant K, which is related to the free energy of activation, where del H is the enthalpy of activation and del S is the entropy of activation. Such a diagram which shows the energies of various species and the energy changes taking place during the process of a reaction from beginning to end is known as energy profile or energy diagram of the reaction. It is to be noted that the reaction energy diagrams of all reactions are not similar to figure 3.2. On the other hand, each reaction has its own specific energy diagram depending upon the value of del G S and del G note. Energy diagram for multi-step reactions. A reaction can proceed from reactant to product either directly in a single step, or it can take place through two or more steps which include the formation of one or more intermediates. Since the reaction is directly converted into the product without the formation of any intermediate substance is a concentrated reaction, the energy diagrams of such reactions have only two energy minima corresponds to the reactant and the product, and an energy maximum corresponding to the transition state. Most of the reactions of organic compounds are multi-step reactions involving the formation of one or more reactive intermediates. Therefore, let us now consider the complete energy diagram of multi-step reactions with the help of a two-step reaction involving one reactive intermediate. Such a reaction involves the formation of two transition states as below. Step 1 may reactants to transition state, reactive intermediates. Step 2 may reactive intermediates to transition state to products. In such reactions, we draw an energy diagram for each of the individual steps and then join them in the middle as the product of step 1 acts as the starting material for step 2. Since the intermediate has higher energy than either the reactants or products, it is very reactive and may or may not be isolated. However, unlike the transition state, the intermediate has a measurable lifetime. Depending upon the free energies of activation of the two transition states, the free energy diagram can be of two types as shown below. If the free energy of activation of transition state is more than that of transition state, the energy diagram is shown as the intermediate radially gets converted into the products and can be seldom isolated. The first step of such reactions is the rate determining step of the overall reactions. If the free energy of activation of transition state is more than that of the transition state, the energy diagram is shown this. In such cases, the intermediate is rather stable and can be isolated. It may be pointed out that for the many reactions which we study, the enthalpy changes which takes place during the reaction are much larger and more important than entropy changes. Therefore, it is sometimes found convenient to ignore the entropy changes in such reactions. As a result, the reaction energy diagrams may be drawn in terms of energy of activation EA in place of free energy of activation del G. Similarly, the energy changes taking place during the reaction may be depicted in terms of del H instead of del G. It may be noted from these diagrams that the difference in energy levels between the reactants and the transition state represents the E activation. The difference in energy levels between the reactants and the products represents the del H. For an endothermic reaction, E activation must be at least as large as del H, although generally it is larger. For an exothermic reaction, the E activation may be high or low, generally it is on the lower side. Development and structure of transition state. Hammond's postulate. In order to fully understand reaction, it is necessary to complete understanding the structure and energy of the transition state which leads to the formation of product. But the transition state has only a translatory existence. As soon as it is formed during the course of a reaction, it changes into a more stable species. But it is possible to have an idea of the structure of a particular transition stable from the reaction energy diagram with the help of Hammond's postulate. Hammond's advanced a generalization known as Hammond's postulates to correlate the energy and structure of transition state. According to this postulate, structure of the transition state most closely resembles the structure of the stable species that lies closest to it in energy. For example, in a strongly endothermic reaction, the energy level of the transition state is much closer to that of the products than reactants. Therefore, the transition state would be expected to closely resemble the products in structure as well. On the other hand, in a strongly exothermic reaction, the transition state is energetically much closer to the reactants than the products. As a result, it has a strong resemblance to the reactant structurally. For a two-step reaction, the first transition state may structurally resemble either the original reactant or the intermediate, whichever is closer to it is energy. The second transition state in turn may resemble structurally either the intermediate or the final product according as which is energetically closer to it. Effect of catalyst on the transition state. Many reactions which we shall study involve the use of some suitable catalyst to increase the rate of reaction. What the catalyst does in such reactions is to provide an alternate path from reactants to product with a lower energy transition state. Thus, the catalyst lowers the energy of activation required for the reaction so that the rate of reaction increases. It must be pointed out, however, that the del H for the reaction remains unchanged even in the presence of catalyst. Assigning formal charges on intermediates and other ionic species. While studying the various reaction intermediates, it has been found that these species may either carry positive or negative charge or they may be neutral in character. In order to predict whether a given species carries some charge or not, we now present a very simple method known as formal charge method for charge explanation on intermediates. Formal charge, it is the amount of positive or negative charge which can be assigned to contain atoms of a species in order to know whether the species as a whole carries some charge or not. The calculation of formal charge involves the comparison of the number of valence electrons in a neutral atom in the free state and the number of valence electrons associated with the atom in the bounded state. The difference between the two values gives the formal charge on the atom in a given species, that is, formal charge on an atom in a given species is equal to number of valence electrons in the free atom minus number of valence electrons in the bonded atom. Calculation of number of valence electrons in the bonded state. To calculate the number of valence electrons associated with an atom in the bonded state, the number of electrons shared between two atoms are divided equally between the two atoms that share them. This means that even though the electrons are shared between the two atoms, it is still thought as if each atom owns one electron of the shared pair. The number of bonding valence electrons of an atom are assigned exclusively to that atom. The sum of the number of electrons assigned as above gives the number of valence electrons in the bonded atoms. This is also sometimes refers to as the average electrons, that is number of electrons in the bonded atom, or average electrons is equal to 1 by 2 into number of shared electrons plus number of non-bonding electrons. Therefore, the formal charge is equal to number of valence electrons in free atom minus 1 by 2 number of shared electrons plus number of non-bonding electrons. Formal charge on a species as a whole. Knowing the formal charge on each atom in a given species, the formal charge on the species as a whole can be found by adding together the formal charges on various atoms. That is, formal charge on a species is equal to sum total of formal charges on all the atoms in the given species. We now illustrate the complete procedure by considering the example of simplest molecule, methane. It is apparent from the structure that carbon is surrounded by 8 electrons which are shared with 4 hydrogen atoms. Therefore, the number of valence electrons associated with carbon in methane is 1 by 2 into 8 is equal to 4. Since the number of electrons in a free carbon atom is also 4, the methane carbon is electrically neutral. In other words, there is no formal charge on carbon atom in methane. We can also arrive at the same conclusion directly. Formal charge on carbon is equal to number of valence electrons in free carbon कितने हैं 4 माइनस नंबर ऑफ शेयर्ड इलेक्ट्रॉन्स 8 प्लस number of non-bonding electrons 0. 4 minus 1 by 2 into 8 plus 0 is equals to 0. Each hydrogen atom in methane is surrounded by 2 electrons which are shared with carbon. Therefore, formal charge on in each hydrogen is 0. Formal charge on methane molecule is equal to 0. It is of course well known that methane molecules have no net electrical charge. Let us now compute the formal charge on some of the intermediates already studied. Free radicals. It has been stated earlier that free radicals are electrically neutral species. To justify this, let us consider the methyl radical, which is the simplest free radical. The carbon is surrounded by 6 bonding electrons shared with 3 hydrogens and 1 non-bonding electron. Each hydrogen is surrounded by only 2 shared electrons. Therefore, formal charge on carbon is equal to 0. Formal charge on each hydrogen is equal to 0. Formal charge on methyl radical is equal to 0. Carbocations. The positive charge on the carbocations may be verified by considering the example of methyl carbocation. It may be easily seen that formal charge on carbon is equal to plus 1. Formal charge on each hydrogen 0. Formal charge on the carbocation is plus 1. Carboanion. It is well known that carboanions are negatively charged species in which a carbon atom carries negative charge. To rationalize this, we may consider the structure of methyl carbanion. Formal charge on carbon is minus 1. Formal charge on each hydrogen 0. Formal charge on carbanion minus 1. Carbenes. The simplest carbene is methylene. Formal charge on carbon 0. Formal charge on each hydrogen 0. Formal charge on carbene is 0. Carbenes are neutral species. Nitrines. The neutral character of nitrines may be verified with the formal charge calculation on methyl nitrine. Formal charge on carbon 0. Formal charge on nitrogen 0. Formal charge on hydrogen 0. Formal charge on nitrine 0 ही हो जाएगा. This is also a neutral species. So thank you so much everyone.